Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm chatting with Mike Williams from Aftermath Silver. In today's interview, we discuss the precious metals market, how it has been booming, yet we haven't seen that capital flow into the junior equity names just yet. We also get into Aftermath Silver, where we discuss the upcoming PEA on the Berenguela project in Southern Peru, as well as the company's two other projects in Chile. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Mike, it's good to see you again.
Steve, how are you doing? Good to see you.
So let's start off with gold has had quite a year, and it's funny because I went on a bit of a rant on YouTube about it, and someone said to me, "Oh, everyone always says this, but gold's price never changes." And I'm kind of looking at him going, "Well, gold's kind of ran from about $1,500 in like 2019 to 5 years later, we've nearly doubled here, and it looks like it's really catching a lot of momentum with everything that Donald Trump has." Is offering the world. It looks like he's kind of tempting the world to wean itself off the US dollar here. Um, Now, I know you work at the junior markets. You're talking with institutional investors about gold deals all the time and silver deals. And when we are here to talk about Aftermath Silver, but
Yeah, yeah, no.
I'm curious what the sentiment you're picking up on. Do you think that we're starting to see capital flow in, or do you think that everybody's still kind of at that standstill looking around?
That's a good question. I think we're at the cusp of the former, which is new money coming in. I don't see it yet. I don't see really any coming into the sector from the generalists, but the mining funds are deploying. And look, if I think if you've got the right project, you can finance. But like everything in the junior mining sector, it's all about dilution. So you've got to manage that at the same time. But yeah, look, I think we're coming into that market that you and I have probably been talking about for 5 or 6 years. I think the train's finally pulling into the station.
And we had Barrick put out earnings, was it 2 days ago? And, they were very strong, which, I know Barrick has they haven't had the greatest reputation amongst, gold investors for what you'd like to see out of one of the big, gold producers. You'd like to see them I think we'd all like to see them be a little bit more like Agnico Eagle and, constantly, beating guidance and pushing the
Right.
market forward. But, what we always hear about is it starts with the major producers, and we start to see those run, and then those valuations get a little bit frothy, and then people move down the tiers, and then eventually it works its way to the exploration side. So I think that, to your point, it does feel like we're on the cusp, like we could see it coming in, and I think we're close.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And were you out at those shows in Vancouver in January?
No, this year I didn't do VRIC, but what was the sentiment there like?
Yeah, actually, it was really good. And I thought it would be uh, average attendance, but no, it was above average attendance. A lot of people around, so I view that as a good sign, anecdotally as well.
I gotta ask you about silver. Let's talk a little bit about the general silver market. Every time gold runs, historically, silver seems to come flying behind and overshoots. You
Right,
you
yeah.
think that we're on the cusp of that?
Absolutely, and for multiple reasons. Yeah, to your point, we usually say when gold runs in a bull market, silver will gallop, and the inverse in a bear market. So I think what you're seeing is a couple of things. You're seeing silver now has a 55% industrial component. I don't think it's being valued for that portion of the valuation you would put onto silver. I think it's more as a financial tool, and it's still, I believe, at 89 to 1 silver to gold ratio, which in my opinion is too high. So I think you'll see a breakout on silver independent of gold at some point. A lot of people, and I'm in this camp, are thinking silver will be in the 40s by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think, 40s is conservative, but, I'm also,
Yeah.
a degenerate penny stock gambler, so I'm the wrong guy to ask those macro questions to.
Yeah.
So it's the first time we've had you on talking about Aftermath Silver. Uh, we know that there is an underbelly of silver investors out there that are always looking at these kind of names. What can you tell us about Aftermath?
Well, I think if you look at our, silver resource, and it's a polymetallic deposit, it's silver, copper, and manganese, and it's the type of manganese that's hosted within an oxide that potentially can be used in EV batteries, high purity. And we've put out some metallurgical work that dictates that we can get to the purity levels. We just need to scale it up. So from but I think if you read the tea leaves right now with aftermath, what it'll demonstrate is we're being valued as a silver company, and we have 101 million ounces in measured and indicated, and a further 40 million ounces in inferred, and some of that we'll be bringing into measured and indicated this year when we put out our new resource. So from that standpoint, as a development company, I think we're one of the bigger silver development stories out there. So we're a silver name, and people, that's why we have it in our name. We always were going to focus as a silver company. What happened at Berenguela, which is our flagship in Peru, it is a big silver deposit, but it also is a equal value in the copper side. And now with this manganese component, it could be multiples of the silver and copper value, just predicated on the price of the commodity. So we're in good stead there.
How much exploration has been conducted on the Berenguela property
Mhm.
historically?
'Cause I think we've crossed the 400 drill hole threshold. It was the history of this deposit and deposits like this, even though it is a bit of a rarity, is that they were mined by small companies or small private interest 120 years ago for the silver they could see on surface. This deposit literally comes right to surface. So, one would think it would be open pittable, hopefully with a very, very low strip ratio. That'll come out in our PEA later this year. But, going forward, so they were initially mined, but this deposit had manganese associated with the silver and copper at the time, and even within the last, let's call it 15 years, that made it very difficult metallurgically to advance projects like this. There's new technologies that have come out, and certainly new uses of the metal manganese, and now this type of manganese is geared towards fertilizer at $500 a ton, or battery grade manganese that European pricing, I think, is $2,500 a ton, anticipated to go north of $5,000 a ton within 5, 6 years.
So my understanding here is that the latest resource estimate has roughly 140 million ounces of silver and 800 million pounds of copper. Pretty significant. What needs to be done to advance the project to that PEA you mentioned?
Yeah, and those are measured and indicated and inferred numbers. But so this is our news flow. We're currently finishing off a drill program, and the drill program was threefold. It was to further delineate the eastern portion of the deposit, and then in the western portion, we were testing some structural controls as well, and then we did some infill drilling. So expect some additional results shortly. Also, we're going to update the resource of the project, Q2, and then Q4, I would suggest our PEA will be out. And then on the back of the PEA, we'll immediately start to prepare for pre-feasibility study. And then pre-feas is key because we will be doing a pilot plant, bulk sample, and it definitively gives you specifications for the manganese product that the end users require. And same time, the plan is here you would mine silver with silver doré, perhaps copper cathode to extract the copper, and then you'd produce a manganese sulfate after you took out all the impurities. So the process is there. We need to ramp it up, and we will be testing some regional drill targets as well. We have a really interesting copper one that needs some drills. We're just in the process of permitting now.
So, what's the long-term plan for Aftermath? Do you guys plan on becoming a mine operator, or is the idea just to take it in development and sell it?
Well, historically, I've been able to, I like to take these projects through PEA, certainly PFS, and then, see if there is an M&A component at that point. If not, you have to be able to take it into production, which I believe we are. We'd, of course, ramp up our management team to reflect that. But I think the current team, led by Mike Parker, technically, former head of in country Peru for First Quantum. So Michael's on top of everything, and our CEO Ralph Rushton likewise. Ralph and Michael are geos, but I think what you'd see is us adding to our board and management team with some engineering help. But yeah, we can go to production. I don't think a deposit like this will it will be a junior taking it to production. I think it'll be a lot larger company. It's it's the mineralization where from a geological point of view, it's been de-risked. We've got enough silver, copper, and manganese potentially for a mine. So we're big enough. You want to be about 15 years. That's what would be my guess. And you've engineering point of view, it comes to surface, and now the metallurgy has come back, and we can separate all the metals, and we can produce a product at 99.9%. So we're there. We just need to scale it up. And to the beginning of our conversation, we need a market. We've been fighting headwinds. It'd be nice to have some tailwinds.
Yeah, I feel like the first time we met was at Beaver Creek in 2023, and it I recall, and I don't know if you remember Beaver Creek that year, but it was unbelievably depressing. It was just like, there was no investors to be seen. Nobody had any money. There were some great projects there. People were hitting big drill holes at the time. Sometimes they hold those back and wait for mining events so that everybody's talking about it when they're all together at an event like that. And you're just waiting for that capital to come in. And gosh, it feels like we're close.
Yeah, I think the comment on the 23 Beaver Creek was that there were a lot of corporates there, but there wasn't a lot of buy side money. Right. So we haven't seen the buy side show up yet, but look, it will. It will. I guess what I found is we've always last 5 or so years. There's always something shiny that people have gone to, from your weed now to your AI and everything in between. We haven't had a time when the precious metals have been in focus, and they're the global focus.
Yeah. So you guys also have some earlier stage projects in Chile.
Yep.
Um, what's the exploration plans here in the near term?
Well, we're looking at, we think we're on, the beginnings of, even though silver's north of $30, we think we're heading into a really robust silver market. And so we want to drill Chayacoyo, which is in region 1 Chile. I think 35 million ounces measured and indicated, 10 million inferred. Leave those in the numbers. So we would like to be able to do enough drilling to, the goal would be to double the resource, we think, based on the topography and such and geology. Through further drilling, we can get there. And then look at that project. Our original thesis was, let's focus on open pit silver deposits, and this could fall in that category as well. So, and then in Cashinel, we're going to do a little bit of work. That's a non-core asset. We've been approached by a couple companies. I think it's for a smaller junior. It was our original listing property, but with a little bit of work, you might be able to expand it. And there's a mill close by that might need feed. So it's interesting.
What can you tell us about your share structure? Are there any noteworthy investors or shareholders that you can mention?
Yeah. The Eric Sprott now
I,
many.
I I I should have asked after Matt Silver, Eric Sprott. Uh,
Yeah.
it, it it's almost most silver companies we talk to have Sprott in.
Well, this is interesting because Eric put an additional 15 million into the treasury last year as part of two private placements. One was in September following the 2024 Beaver Creek, and I believe he just watched a presentation of Ralph Rushner, CEO. So he phoned the next day and asked if we would entertain him putting an additional 5 million in. He'd like to go back up to 19.9, predicated on the amount of silver. About 2.5, 3 weeks later, Eric came back to us and goes, "I'd like to put in an additional 10 million, and the reason why is I just did my homework on the manganese market and where you guys are, and feel this is a tremendous opportunity on the manganese side." So Eric, yes, traditional, very bullish on the precious metals, and very famous and renowned for that style of investing. Now is come over. I don't say come over to the dark side, but is also looking at the manganese, which is an oddity considering his silver gold focus. But we'll gladly take it, and I understand he's also purchased interest in another manganese company. So obviously adheres to the thesis that we've put forward on manganese and battery metals. But silver's still for us the driver. That's the one people focus on.
If I'm an investor watching this, or I've got a list of silver names on my watch list, and I've got you guys sort of in my view, what does 2025 look like? What am I watching out for in terms of news flow or timelines, moving the company forward, that sort of stuff?
Well, we'll have drill results out shortly, and we tend to our liquidity's good. We traded about 1 million shares a day on average, including the United States and Canada. So news is coming out. This will be following up on a high grade historic drill hole of over 100 meters of copper at 1.17%. We've done some step outs from that, so look for that. Look for the resource to be updated, and then look for the PEA, and then us to start the PFS. But expect some drilling on some unique targets either later this year or Q1 of next.
All right, Mike, thanks very much for hopping on here today. I think that you are definitely going to be one of those names that the retail investor who is following the silver names is going to want to keep an eye on. And
Yeah, absolutely.
let's continue to chat as you guys put out some of your PEA results and continue to move the project forward.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching, everybody.